Trump Attorney General Bill Barr established that new rule in February 2020. No investigating any declared candidate for president or anybody working for that candidate unless I personally give my permission. That new rule was established by Bill Barr when he was working for Donald Trump. Well, former President Donald Trump has had the delightful experience of the January 6th investigation, essentially rolling out a real-time, prime-time criminal referral of him to the Justice Department.
It's Rachel Maddow last night, upset, evidently, that Mr. Biden's attorney general wants to okay any criminal investigations into possible presidential candidates. Her team obtained a memo from the attorney general extending a Trump-era rule, as she said, from Bill Barr, that the attorney general themselves must sign off on any investigations into presidential candidates. It seems kind of like good governance almost. She continued, insinuating Garland's move would protect Trump, and Democrats don't like that.
This last part about Bill Barr's instructions from 2020, that's kind of a surprise. February 2020, Trump Attorney General Bill Barr put out new guidance over and above what all attorneys general had previously said.
So new guidance to ensure the Department of Justice wouldn't be used, shall we say, by a rogue prosecutor, a rogue FBI agent. And Attorney General Merrick Garland, who was going to be appointed to the Supreme Court, thought that was a good rule to continue. She doesn't want any of those controls on possible investigations into Mr. Trump. But what if the memo was about something else? For example, what if Garland wanted to protect his boss as prosecutors continue to look into Hunter Biden after new data from Hunter's laptop shows meetings between Hunter and then VP that coincidentally tied with Hunter's overseas business deals? In any other world, the attorney general demanding oversight on investigations into presidential candidates might be considered a good thing, a great thing. Bob Driscoll's former Deputy Assistant Attorney General and joins us now. Is this about protecting Hunter or Trump, or is Merrick Garland just a good guy?
It's really about protecting neither. It's just continuing a policy that DOJ has had for a long time, just a question of how it's documented. I mean, if you really think about it, if you're a line prosecutor or even a U.S. attorney in a state somewhere, the notion that you're going to indict or open a grand jury or even open an investigation into a presidential candidate without clearing it with the political leadership of the department, I mean, that would get you fired under any administration regardless. And so, to me, it's such an example of someone trying to make news out of nothing. The notion that some prosecutor somewhere would ever, show up the weekly meeting and they say, "What's going on, Bob?" I'm going to say, "Hey, I just opened up something against Biden." I mean, that's absurd.
You and I sat through enough of Russiagate to know that there are occasionally prosecutors and FBI agents who do things that would get them fired, but they do it anyway for political reasons. Here is the Attorney General in late April saying that the probe into Hunter Biden and then Joe Biden is independent. Take a listen.
There will not be interference of any political or improper kind.
How can the American people be confident that his administration is conducting a serious investigation?
Because we've put the investigation in the hands of a Trump appointee from the previous administration, who's the United States Attorney for the District of Delaware, and because you have me as the Attorney General who is committed to the independence of the Justice Department from any influence from the White House in criminal matters.
How can that still hold with the memo?
Well, you'd have to determine whether Hunter was a member of President Biden's campaign or staff, or how you wanted to view that. But I think as a practical matter, even if you do have independence, and you should, of the people doing the investigation, at some point, when something's going to have a massive political impact, you're going to at least consult the people up the chain from you. And so this is requiring a formal sign-off, which is maybe a bureaucratic hurdle. But to me, I think it's totally appropriate, because the whole idea of our government is it's accountable to the people. And if someone brings an improper prosecution, that administration can be punished. And you don't want the Attorney General to say, well, I just didn't know about it. That was just someone acting, on their own.
Well, I guess
now we know if someone brings a case during a presidential campaign, or even during I think the same rules apply effectively to a Senate or House campaign, the leadership has signed off on it and they own it. and it's either going to be a good prosecution or it's a bad prosecution, but at least Garland is taking responsibility for it. It's really, I mean, it was no different under Barr, but I don't think it was any different during the Obama administration or the Bush administration, that if you were going to bring, when you get into election season, the department is always very careful about taking any public-facing action against a candidate without, kind of needing to, or there being good cause and sign off at the highest level.
Yeah, I feel as though Hillary Clinton is listening to what you're saying and thinking to herself a number of thoughts at this moment, as is Donald Trump, as is Don Jr. and everybody else. Hey, Bob, we got to run, but thank you.
Thank you for having me, Liam.
Yeah, it's good to see you as always. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.